Hey, good Thursday. Good to see you here on THV 11 Plus. You'll recall for the last several days we've been tracking this cold blast of Arctic air straight from the North Pole. Well, it's finally arriving and it's doing so in full force. Look at these temperatures in Oklahoma City. It feels like it's negative 22. That, of course, the wind chill down to negative 18 in Tulsa, feels like 2 in Branson. You know, most of the morning we've seen temperatures around the state in those mid 40s. It's felt pretty mild outside, but we've also had quite a bit of drizzle, and that drizzle was a bit more prevalent than what we thought earlier, and that means our concern for what's called a flash freeze and could cause some road problems has increased just a bit. So let's take a look at what we're tracking for you today. You'll notice those temperatures in the low 40s this afternoon before that front arrives, but that front is going to bring rapid change. Generally, when you see a front, whether warm or cold, your temperatures steadily fall. That's not going to be the case today. It's going to be a really quick, drastic drop going from 43 at 1 o'clock to below freezing by 3 p.m. into the teens most of the evening before eventually dropping into the low single digits by tomorrow morning. So of course the front is going to bring a difference in temperatures, but it also brings some wind and it brings chances of precipitation. We'll keep those chances scattered in nature ahead of the front. Some light rain, probably going to continue to see some on and off drizzle, and then we'll start to see the cold air make some of that rain and that snow over into some, make some of that rain into some snow, and you see that here this afternoon into this evening. We're not looking at major accumulations by any means, but enough to produce a dusting in central Arkansas, 1 to 2 inches possible north of the metro. We'll notice temperatures not only dropping into the single digits, but this very same weather system, it brings some significant winds, not just tonight, not just into the overnight, but continuing into tomorrow. And those two things coupled together, extremely cold temperatures plus high winds, that gives us wind chill concerns. Brand new today is a wind chill warning for pretty much the entire northern half of Arkansas, the exception being Crawford, Sebastian, and Franklin counties. This royal blue, this is the wind chill warning, and it's here where we would expect by tomorrow morning for it to feel anywhere between negative 15 and negative 25. So what the wind chill is, it's of course going to be cold out there already, but that wind hits you on any exposed skin and it removes your body's heat. It takes away that heat, making it feel much colder than the actual air temperature. In parts of southern Arkansas, I hate to say it, but slightly warmer. Even then, we're still in the negatives, negative 5 to negative 15 expected. It's here in this lighter blue, as well as these 3 counties here in west central Arkansas, the River Valley. That's going to be a wind chill advisory through tomorrow morning. So let's track those winds. Here's the front right here. You can see those winds are sharply going to turn out of the northwest, and they're going to pick up really quickly. You'll not only notice it by feeling, but if you're staying inside, you're avoiding some of these colder temperatures, you're probably going to hear it through your window outside. Look at this, sustained winds. That's going to be the number here on your left in the white box, 15, 20 miles per hour, gusting at times as high as 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Hot Springs, that's 4 o'clock today. Look up here in the Ozarks and the parts of the Ouachitas, you find those reds. Well, that's where we would expect wind gusts to exceed 40 miles per hour, maybe even approaching 50 mile per hour wind gusts. For some context about just how strong of winds those are, we issue severe thunderstorm warnings when the wind exceeds 60 miles per hour. I don't think we get there today, but that's just to say we're going to be really close to dangerous wind speeds. If you got some dead trees, some weak limbs, well, I wouldn't be surprised when you wake up tomorrow morning and you look out the window, you might see some of those limbs laying down in your front yard. As we go out into time, 7 o'clock tonight, still tracking those winds just howling in out of the northwest, certainly stronger in the Ozarks, the Ouachitas, but even in the metro, 20 mile per hour sustained winds gusting at times to 30, 40 through about 9 o'clock tonight, 40 mile per hour wind gust in Searcy, 45 in Clinton. Thankfully, after midnight, they'll start to come down just a bit, but even then, we're still tracking 10 to 25 mile mile-per-hour wind gusts, probably through the better majority of tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow night, we should see those winds taper off near 5 to 10 with occasional gusts, less frequent gusts in excess of 20 miles an hour. So of course you got the extreme temperatures, you've got those really unusually high winds with this weather system. Let's talk about the wind chill and just how cold it's going to feel. By 7 o'clock tonight, the precipitation is ended across most of the state. The cold air is settling in. Look at these numbers. It's going to feel like negative 22 Fayetteville, negative 26 in Harrison, down to negative 2 in the Little Rock metro area, single digits and low teens in Monticello. Unfortunately, that cold air continues spilling in. While many of us are sleeping, the cold air settles into Arkansas. Those winds stay elevated, and we wake up tomorrow morning in the negatives yet again. Negative 12 in Little Rock, negative 15 Searcy, down to negative 20 in Batesville, Mountain View, Mountain Home. Some locations very well still could approach negative 30, but I think a safer bet for us is going to be negative 15 to negative 25 for a good majority of Arkansas. South Arkansas, well, slightly warmer, still tracking those negatives though. So it's going to be dangerously cold out there. It's only going to take about 30 minutes to start to see some frostbite concerns on exposed skin. Hypothermia will be a concern with this as well. So we've talked a lot about the potential for extreme wind chills, but this system also has a little bit of moisture to work with. Therefore, let's give a look at future radar. 2 o'clock this afternoon, here's the front, pretty easy to spot. Perhaps some light rain, continuing to track that drizzle out ahead of the front. That's going to be concerning because how quickly things are going to cool off. If there is any moisture on the ground, it could freeze quickly. It's called a flash freeze. I'll touch on that more in a moment. Notice we've got some blue. The blue, that's going to be what our future radar or our model is suggesting is going to fall in the form of snow. And you notice the majority of that snow stays here in northern Arkansas. In the metro, could you see some snow flurries? Yes, and I think we will see some snow flurries this afternoon, perhaps even into the early part of this evening, but a better majority of us probably going to see rain mixing in with some sleet, some snow. More of that snow stays in northern parts of the state. It's a quickly moving system, likely out of the area, certainly for western Arkansas by 5 o'clock. We're drying out in the metro by 5 p.m. this evening. East Arkansas still seeing some of that wet stuff fall from the sky, and then you'll notice temperatures dropping off really quickly once the precip comes to an end. Certainly by 7 o'clock, not only do I think we're mostly dry, but look at those clouds. They're quickly retreating off towards the east, and those clouds, well, they often serve as Earth's blanket. They trap the heat at the surface. Without those clouds, without a blanket, well, you know what happens. It gets really cold. That's going to be the top theme of this weather system. So in terms of how much snow we can pick up, I think a dusting to 2 inches is what we're still on track for in northern Arkansas. Those top 2 rows of counties closest to the Missouri border, I would include Batesville and Mountain View, Melbourne, Marshall, Jasper, generally in that range. Elsewhere, most of us are going to pick up a dusting. Even then, it's going to be somewhat scattered. Not everyone sees the snow, and a lot of folks may see a few flurries, and it's just not going to amount to much. Or another situation that I think is just as likely is the wind is going to be blowing so quickly that we're going to start to see that blowing snow. That is going to reduce some visibility, but it also makes it rather difficult to get a true accurate measurement because the snow has actually been blown all over the place. Could you see a burst of snow here in the white shaded area that amounts to upwards of an inch? Yes, it's possible. I can't rule it out, but I'll tell you, it's looking to be less and less likely. Look at the latest winter weather advisories. We now have winter storm watches for a very large majority of Arkansas's 75 counties, only a few in southern Arkansas not under this watch. This is expanded a couple of times today, and the reason why this is expanded is that flash freeze that I've mentioned a couple of times. What is a flash freeze, and why have you never heard of it? I'll be honest, I had to go back in the books and refresh my memory, and there's good reason for having to do that. The National Weather Service out of Little Rock in its history has never had to issue a watch or a warning on the basis of a flash freeze. That's just to tell you how rare this phenomena is. Essentially what's happening is we've got some water at the surface from that drizzle we saw this morning, more of that drizzle than we expected even as early as this morning. It's kind of surprised a lot of folks. You've also got some rain out ahead of the front that's coming through, so the ground's a bit wet. wet, you might have some puddles of water on the roadways, and the temperatures are going to drop so quickly below freezing once that front moves through. It's very plausible we see a thin sheet of ice develop on some of the bridges, the overpasses, even other secondary roads that may not have been treated. A flash freeze, so flash meaning it's happening so fast. Think of a flash flood, pretty similar situation. It's a phenomenon that happens really quickly, and those temperatures today certainly are going to drop so fast that it is possible we see that. So we've been talking so much about cold weather. Welcome to Arkansas. Buckle your seatbelts, folks. We've got some weather whiplash on the way. Looking out ahead into next week, the latest data suggests a large majority of the United States not only going to be warming up, but we're probably going to be warming up a few degrees above average. This is December 27th through New Year's Eve, the 31st of this month. And you notice most of the natural states seeing an indication that our temperatures warming a little bit above where they typically are this time of year. As the old saying goes, if you don't like Arkansas weather, just stick around. Certainly seems to be panning out in this situation. 46 was our high. We reached that early this morning. As that front moves through, we'll continue to see those numbers fall steadily into the single digits overnight tonight, waking up at 8 tomorrow, but it's going to feel much colder than that. Please remember that. If you have to be out and about, myself included, you're going to want to bundle up, reduce the amount of exposed skin you have. 8's bad enough. Now add in 30 to 40 mile per hour winds hitting you in the face. It's going to feel just bitter cold out there, dangerously cold. In fact, we stay below freezing between about 2 o'clock today through the better majority of Christmas Day on Sunday. I do think Christmas afternoon will warm up to about 38 degrees in the afternoon. The good news here is, as cold as it may be Saturday and Sunday, we look to be dry with a little bit of sunshine, especially here on Christmas Day. A slight chance of rain heading into Monday, but the big story next week is that warm up back into the low 50s by Wednesday, and it looks to be the second half of next week that shows those above average temperatures and above average chance for a few rain showers. Stay warm out there, folks. Stay safe. Don't forget the 3 P's: pipes, people, and pets. Protect them. Certainly going to be dangerously cold over the next 72 hours.